Minhaj talked to Bernie Sanders. Can you please watch the Hasan Minhaj? Hasan Minhaj. There you go, dude. Okay, here it is. Here it is, bro. Here, let's listen to what he had to say.
Increasing the minimum wage, free tuition, LGBTQ rights. You've been talking about universal health care since Star Wars A New Hope was in theaters in 1978. Essentially, what you've been doing for the past 40 years is just doing what I do with my kids. Put on your shoes. Hey, just put your shoes on. Stop. Put your shoes on. Put your shoes on. Please, for the love of God, put your shoes on.
The health care is a right of all of its people.
That health care is a right of all people.
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 You've been saying put your shoes on for the past 40 years. Senator Sanders, do you ever feel like blowing your brains out?
Occasionally.
Because my daughter is in the first grade. She hasn't even gotten to the first grade. And
Sounds like you feel like blowing your brains out.
Daily, Senator Sanders.
Don't do it. It's not the solution to the problem. Look.
That was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. It was a good, strong start. He just straight up asked Bernie if he wants to kill himself, dude. That's insane. Anyway, let's get back to this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Bernie Sanders. Yeah.
There's almost as many people in the room here as there were last night.
Senator Sanders, do you need a little...
Jane, how's my hair?
Jane?
Oh, you're on?
How's
yes. Yes, fine.
All right.
That's fine.
You know there's a barbershop over there we can get you.
No, we can get you. No, I'm not kidding.
I'm not kidding. This is true love. This is real love. This is Sanders, this is real love. Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I want to start by exposing a secret about you. I know this is going to be a little intense, but it's going to shock the conscience of the American public. Senator Sanders, how tall are you?
6 feet. Television makes you short and fat. And for some reason, no matter how I sit, I look fatter than I am. I'm not that fat, folks.
You're not
but
fat.
I am 6 feet.
I'm not fat shaming you. But there is this notion that you're a short king, but you are a tall comrade.
Now that we've gotten through the important stuff.
All right.
Let's get to it. Let's get to
the real stuff.
Yeah.
As someone who has covered the DNC for a long time, I've been there. It's felt electric in a way that I haven't felt in a long time. But I'm also seeing Democratic Party leadership and solidarity like I've never seen before. There's no sneak dissing, there is no disorder, there's no infighting. Progressives and neoliberals arm in arm. Senator Sanders, we had yourself, AOC, and JB Pritzker, a billionaire, all on stage together. So my question to you is, are we witnessing the rise of a more unified Democratic Party, or is this a Donald J. Trump is an existential threat one-off?
Well, it depends. I don't know that we know the answer to that. What I think we do know, which is clear, is that Donald Trump is the most dangerous candidate in perhaps the history of this country. And it's not only...
Bro, there's no... What are we talking about, dude? If there's a unified party on that front, then it's just done. It's lost. There is no... You know? It's just... There is no more progressive wing of the party. We've completely capitulated to the center.
Because of his terrible positions on all of the issues that I'm sure your listeners and viewers are familiar with. He is an authoritarian personality and will move this country in an authoritarian direction, the likes of which, I think is hard to appreciate. So he's extremely dangerous. And I think what that reality has done is brought a whole lot of people to say, hey, you know what? We got to defeat this guy. We have to.
Biden has the most progressive agenda of any president since FDR. Why are we talking about him like he's Bill Clinton? I'm sure Bernie will address that because Bernie considers himself to be a junior partner that was heard in the Biden administration. Except Biden kind of fucked it up. Biden is a progressive. Yes, Biden on labor was a more progressive administration than Barack Obama. Biden on labor and labor alone, and in terms of how he communicated a lot of these like radical, progressive, you're digging, bro. Oh my God. Dude, I literally said I was not going to vote for him. What? Like, why do you think I have any reason to lie about this? I have said I was not going to vote for him. Oh my God, bro. Like, Biden's labor record is above and beyond in comparison to previous Democratic leadership, especially in recent history, previous Republican leadership, especially in recent history. Okay? You said it 30 minutes ago, lol. Yeah, actually, I'm lying. I'm going to write his name in now. Now that I'm thinking about his record on labor, I'm going to write his name in. So Kamala is more progressive than Biden? Kamala is nothing. We don't know. All we have are her policies, which she surprisingly, at this point, confusingly, has none. So I don't know. It's funny because I've said that over and over again. I kept warning people. I was like, listen, 2019 is a different time. She, as a senator, said that, oh God, I was so careful from the jump too. You made striking if you're a rail worker illegal. Oh my God, every time, dude. There is no way that like every single time I talk about Biden's record on labor, there is like a new person who has not heard me speak on this a million times over. Like, that's crazy. RFK Jr. can still win if we vote for him. I agree. It's crazy every time. Every time I bring it up. Stopped applying pressure. Hard fought success on rail sick days. June 20, 2023. After months of negotiations, the IBES Railroad members of 4 of the largest U.S. freight carriers finally have what they sought long, but many working people take for granted, paid sick days. And they, in this article, say that they're thankful to the Biden admin for playing the long game. And actually, without making a show of it, Joe Biden and members of the administration in the transportation and labor departments work continuously to get guaranteed paid sick days for all railroad workers. Now, it's not a lot. This is why shit like an arms embargo is so important to do immediately, by the way. Every day that passes another day where someone doesn't hear the reversal and walks right into the voting booth thinking Harris still doesn't support an arms embargo, even if she comes out in favor of it. Exactly. But I don't think people understand that. That's why I'm saying, like, you need to immediately hit this on partisan lines. You need to immediately hit this on partisan lines. He still stripped their negotiating power away by removing their ability to strike. I agree. But also, I still refer back to the labor union at this in this instance. And if the labor unions are still happy about it, I'm not going to outflank them. Like, what are we talking about, dude? Oh, do you understand? It's like when chatters come in here and go, dude, we actually shouldn't even be pushing for a ceasefire. We should be pushing for the complete dissolution of the apartheid state. And it's like, I agree with you, but like, how the fuck am I going to sit here and outflank Hamas on this? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? Getting your demands met without striking is better than striking? No, that's not true. Because if there was a strike, it would have literally crippled the American economy entirely. It would have destroyed everything, which is why the fear of a strike alone should have gotten the railroads to actually make capitulate to the demands. Because when the railroad workers unions strike, like, it's not just like, oh, I'm not getting my Amazon order. Like, it's everything. Okay, people don't get clean water. Okay, like, these guys are carrying chemicals across the nation on railroads that are the chemicals responsible for cleaning your water, like having clean access to clean water supply. They're carrying medication. It would never happen for that reason. That's why some of these like essential parts of the American labor force are unjustifiably locked into these like completely anti-union, completely anti-labor, anti-union rules. That's the chatter's point, though, which is organized labor uses strikes as an unfortunate last resort. No. In this circumstance, they were looking for 14 paid sick leave days, and they got 4, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I suspect they would have gotten 14, and also other additional demands that they had made.
They will elect Kamala and Tim to the administration, and we go from there.
Are progressives and liberals, in your opinion, because of this existential threat, finally learning how to work together? Because
that's a complicated question. I think what you have is the idea of coalition politics is something that we're not familiar with in the United States. It exists in Europe all over the place. Mm-hmm. It did recently in France, as you may be familiar with.
Right.
There was a threat of a right-wing movement, Le Pen, similar to Trumpism, and the left, including moderates and center-left and further left people came together and said, we can't allow this to happen in France. So right now we are united in an honest way to defeat Donald Trump. But do not minimize the differences that exist between progressives and corporate Democrats.
In your speech at the convention, you said that you wanted a ceasefire in Gaza.
We must end this horrific war in Gaza, bring home the hostages, and demand an immediate ceasefire.
Huge applause break moment in the United Center. It was pretty amazing. Everyone cheered. It really was a moment. But I want to talk about that word ceasefire. It means something very different for different people. The meaning of that word seems to be changing in real time. Senator Sanders, what is your definition of the word ceasefire?
If you allow me, let me back it up a little bit,
Sure,
and I'll
please.
get there. Okay.
And it's just walking us through.
Yeah.
That's a great question, by the way. It's correct. The Democratic Party, if you follow Adam Johnson, formerly of Fair Media, he talks about this quite a bit. He's written about this on, I believe, The Nation as well, where the definition of the ceasefire is something that the Democratic Party basically changed. When they say they're looking for a ceasefire, they mean something different, right? When the public says we want a ceasefire, they want a cessation of hostilities completely, whereas the Democrats keep saying, "Oh, we're working towards a ceasefire," and it's like originally they used to say a temporary ceasefire, temporary halt. Then they started saying ceasefire, and then obviously the Israeli government's understanding of a ceasefire is very different than the Democratic Party's understanding of a ceasefire. They used to say humanitarian pause. Yeah, remember?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go through with what happened on October 7th. Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, invaded Israel and killed 1,200 innocent men, women, and children, took 200 hostages. They are a terrorist organization. Bad news, guys. Israel responded as any government would respond to an attack like that. Israel had the right to defend itself. But what has happened since then is rather than just go after Hamas, a terrorist organization, what Israel, under an extreme right-wing government led by Benjamin Netanyahu, who has in his cabinet people to the right of him who are out and out anti-Palestinian racist. No ifs, buts, and matter. These are racist. So this is the cabinet. What they have done is say, hey, we're not just going to go after Hamas. We're going to go after the Palestinian people. And the carnage has been horrific. And
I'm going to run this back. I'm sorry. I have to hear it again because I heard him go,
organization invaded and
yeah,
killed
he says
1,200
Hamas, a terrorist
innocent
organization
men,
that
women,
invaded Israel.
Children, took 200 hostages. They are a terrorist organization. Bad news, guys. Israel responded as any government would respond to an attack like that. Israel had the right to defend itself.
Boo! No, it doesn't. How can you be a humanitarian and a socialist for your entire life and say something that is patently false, objectively untrue? You are not on the campaign right now. You are simply talking to Hasan Minhaj, okay? There is no reason for you to shelter unless this is like actually what you think, okay? And this is actually what he thinks. He thinks Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel does not have a right to defend itself as a belligerent occupier over Palestinian occupied territories. That's just like, oh.
What has happened since then is rather than just go after Hamas, a terrorist organization.
Like this is rather than just go after Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, is literally the justification that Israel uses. It's not like Israel saying we are going to